Lisa's Stamp Studio. My name is Lisa Curcio. This is a YouTube live event, and today is Monday, December 14th, and the year is 2020. Whether you are here joining me live or you are here watching the replay, I am so glad that you've come by. Thank you for being here with me. Tonight, we are exploding with not only inspiration, but I've got an amazing thing I'm going to be sharing with you at tonight's live is all over. Now, I'm going to be demonstrating an amazing gatefold explosion card. And I have a little tip for you. I'm going to make it even easier for you because when tonight's live is over, there's going to be a link down in the video description below, which will navigate you over to the pictures and the cutting dimensions and the supplies. And I'm picking this up so I can show you. And there will be this. It is a complete template for the pieces that we're going to be using tonight to create this card so that you can recreate it very easily at home. So make sure you head down to the link down in the video description when tonight's live over. Now, I also have a second card I'm going to be sharing with you after the demonstration, so I hope that you'll stay with me and enjoy that card with me as well. A couple things before we get started. I call these housekeeping items. We love to interact with you. I come back and I read every single comment. So please chime in and say hi. In order to do that, you'll need to sign into your YouTube account, which is your Gmail address. That is a requirement of YouTube. And then finally, I want to introduce you to Megan. You'll see Megan's name here in blue. She is my assistant, and she is here to help answer your questions and guide you with links on things you may be having questions or inquiries about. Because quite honestly, you came here to watch me stamp, and I can't do both, so Megan's here to help. I think we're all set. I'm going to turn the camera down, and we're going to get started. Here we go. We are 11 days from Christmas, and I hope that you are ready to celebrate a beautiful holiday season. I know we are here at the Curcio house. I want to show you this template one more time before we get started. I'm going to try to get most of it in your camera view, but this is free and it is a download. So everything is on here that you need to know, so don't be worrying about trying to write it all down while I'm demonstrating tonight. We are going to use several separate pieces of paper. None of it is difficult. The great thing about the video is the replay. So you can come back and stop and start as often as you'd like. This is a 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of Calypso coral cardstock. And this is going to be the base of our card. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' trimmer, which includes both a scoring blade and a cutting blade. I love that they navigate up and down out of the way so you can keep them on the track at the same time. The beauty of this trimmer is this clear cutting guide so you can see where the blade is going to travel. And that's going to be really important for tonight's explosion card. But what we're going to do first is make the gatefold. I've got my piece here, and we're going to make the first score line at 2 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my arm. And I know some of you tell me you have a really difficult time reading a ruler. I get it. Many years I did too before I became very proficient in paper crafting and ruining enough pieces of paper to figure it out. The 2 5/8 is just past the 1/2 inch line, and it's the next longest line before the 2 3/4. I know some people make little tick marks here on their cutting and scoring platforms or trimmers, which helps them. So I'm going to go ahead and line it up at 2 5/8, and my light blade is going to be scoring. Now you could turn this and do the same thing. Oh, you know what I did? I just made a mistake. I'm so glad I cut this piece of paper. That's supposed to be 2 3/4. Oh my gosh, see what happens when I'm chatting with you? Let's move this over. I've got another one that's right, so I know you're going to give me a little bit of forgiveness. Okay, 2 3/4, so I'm only off by a smidgen. You could turn it and score at 2 3/4 at this side as well, but I've got a trick for you. Since this is a gatefold, sometimes it's difficult to get a meeting in the middle just right. Now, let's see if Lisa can turn this. Yep, I think I got this. We're just going to pretend that looks really pretty. I do have another one. I'm going to go over it with my bone folder to get that nice crisp edge. Had you scored it here, it would meet in the center. But if you're off by just a hair, I mean just a 1/16 of an inch, these sometimes can overlap. So what I like to do is take this other end without a score line and just simply meet it in the center. Because cardstock is somewhat pliable, it allows me to kind of just match up the middle and then just press. And I'll go over it with my bone folder. All right. Well, the good news is I got one that's perfect, so we don't have to look at that little ugly spot, okay? I'm going to set that off to the side for just a moment. And I'm going to come over to a piece of Designer Series paper. This is from the Artistry Blooms Designer Series paper package. All of the Designer Series papers with Stampin' Up! Are double-sided, of course, except for the foils. giving you lots and lots of options. This one I have intended to mark up so that you can actually see where I'm putting the little points to do the score lines. So if you're watching me and you're seeing me put little markers on here and you're panicking, that's okay. I've got one that's already scored that doesn't have the pencil lines, but I think this would be easier for you to follow. All right, let's go back to that trimmer and let's go back to that scoring blade. This is what we're going to need. And again, my scoring blade has been navigated up to the top. The very first thing you're going to do is 2 score lines, and these are at 2 and 5/8. See how easily I got confused? I confused myself. So I'm going to open up the trimmer, and again, I've talked to you about the 2 and 5/8 mark. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to line that up, and then I am going to score. We are going to turn this now, and we are going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So 2 and 5/8. So I just want to line that up the very best that I can, and we'll score. Okay, pretty simple, right? So let me set this off to the side for just a moment. And then the next step is to fold these flaps in. So far, so good, right? It is normal to have the separation in the center. That's actually very, very important. You need that. We need a little give on this explosion center so this opens and closes properly. So don't think that you've got a mistake going on here. You don't. Now, the next thing we're going to be doing is a little bit of measuring, nothing difficult. And I love my grid sheets for these. And the reason is that there's a ruler printed on here on both sides, which makes this super easy to use. Because they're a nice, generous size, they help to keep my work surface nice and clean as well. So I'm going to navigate this so that you can see it. With the flaps closed, you're going to want to turn this so this is vertical. And you're going to line it here in the corner. So I've got one edge lined up here and one edge here along the ruler. Now remember when I told you, I'm going to be using a marker, so don't freak out because I've got another one that's really going to be pretty. But at the 2-inch mark, which is half, we are going to make a small dot. Now I'm going to also tell you that depending on what side you want facing out, you would obviously make this mark on the opposite side so it won't be showing. And then I'm going to turn this. And I'm going to do the exact same thing now on this side. I'm going to make a mark at the 2-inch. So now we've just designated the center on both of these sides. So far, so good, right? We are now going to turn this. Now you can do this next step visually, or you can do what I do because I don't ever leave anything to chance. I like to mark the center. Now I know it's pretty simple to just look and kind of decipher where that is, but since I have my grid paper, it's like my best friend. You can see here that this falls right in the middle. So I'm going to make a line here. And because it's grid paper, look, there's a line here as well. So that's going to help decide where that center is. So again, I have put pencil marks, actually Sharpie marks here and here, and I put pencil marks here and here. The reason you want to use pencil marks here is because ultimately this will show and you can erase them. Now, if you can eyeball this, awesome. You don't need those marks. What I'm going to do for the sake of the scoring, and I'm going to take my little Sharpie marker and I'm going to go right over these so that you can see them because I want to make sure that they're prominent enough. This is not difficult, but when you can see the marks, it's going to make it easier for you to follow. All right, so let's come back to the trimmer and I'm going to go back to my scoring blade. And you know what? This is easy. It's just a matter of connecting the dots. So what we're going to do is we are going to connect the center or the 2-inch dot here to this dot here in the center. You're going to keep this folded. It's going to make it a whole lot easier for you because you can actually score through these thin layers of designer series paper. So with my arm of my trimmer open, I am going to navigate this so that this dot is in the track and this line is in the track. I'm going to move you in just a little bit closer. I'll have to move my trimmer down so that you can see it. I think that's a little bit better for you. Okay, so we've got a dot here in the track, and then I'm going to kind of pivot the bottom to make sure it's going to fall in there. And it looks pretty good. So we've got it here and we've got it here. Once you're satisfied, I close the trimmer and I look between the guide and I'm like, is it lined up? Yeah, it looks good. And then we're just going to score. Now what we're going to do is we are going to turn this to the right and we're going to do the exact same thing. So now we're going to connect this to this. So I'm going to look, actually, let's go this way. That'll make it a lot easier. So you see here, I've got my mark here. I might have to move this up a little. And I've got my other mark down here. And I'm navigating them inside the track. So here and here. Once they're lined up, close the door, take a little peek, make sure you can see them through there. And then you're going to score once again. All right, and we're going to rotate. We're actually going to end up making a total of 4 score lines so that this almost looks like a diamond when it's all finished. This is what makes that explosion. So I'm going to line these up once again and score. Remember to keep these flaps closed. One more, and then we're going to come down from here to here, lining that up inside that cutting track. And remember, you're going to score. For those of you that have trimmers that don't have a scoring blade, not only do I highly recommend this one, but you can take your bone folder. Did you know that? And run it right down in your scoring track on almost every trimmer there is. And then we'll score. That's it. Okay, I know that may seem really challenging, but it's not. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take those score lines and you're going to bend them forward. So here's the 2 on the right, and then you're going to bend them back. We're just slightly conditioning it. I don't like to use my bone folder here, especially with designer series paper, because you don't want to break it down too much. And then we're going to do the same thing now on this side. Here are these 2, and I'll fold those back. Now remember, this is my ugly one, okay? And then you're going to open it up. Recall that these were in pencil. That's really, really important. I want to make sure that you know that if this is going to be the inside of your card, you then would, of course, erase that so they would not be visible. So do we see all the little score lines there now? Okay, I'm going to switch paper so it looks just a little prettier. And let me grab that piece right here. Okay, the reason I'm switching is because this one has a different pattern on the other side, so that when the explosion opens on this card, it's going to have a little bit more continuity versus the blue on that other paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over these one more time. I'm just going to make sure all my score lines are reinforced. Remember to go in 2 directions. That helps to break down the paper. And I like to fold those flaps when I do it. Kind of just creates double duty, right? That means you don't have to do them over and over again. All right, and now we've got this. Now this part might look challenging, but it's not. I'm going to show you a trick. There's a quadrant right here, like an elongated triangle. Watch, you're going to push this down. Then this side here is going to match it. It's going to come in. Do you see what happens? It kind of makes this little point. So in and in. And that leaves us with this. I don't know if you saw my video a couple weeks ago, but I did an origami tree, and it was a very similar fold to create this triangle. So we've got this pinched, and this is going to come down now, and you're just going to press it. Now, this is a great time to make sure your sides are as lined up the very best that you can. And we're going to do the same thing now on this side. So remember, this top triangle quadrant is going to come down, and the one just across from it is going to come up. And then see, we've got these 2 pinched together, and you're going to push. Again, line up your sides the best that you can, and then just press. Okay, that's it. Now it's a matter of adding it to the actual card base. But let's go ahead and finish the front of the actual card before we add the insert. So I'm going to set that aside for just a moment. And I'm going to come over here to the gatefold. This is the right one. This is the extra one that I made. We know this is the base of the card that's going to hold the explosion on the inside. Let's go ahead and add a decorative panel here to the front. Now there's several things you can do. Obviously, you can add 2 panels here and it just opens. But I want to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to set this to the side, and I'm going to bring in some pre-cut pieces of cardstock and designer series paper that I have here. And I coordinated these with the designer series paper. This is the beauty of Stampin' Up! Products, is the color coordination. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the Artistry Blooms designer paper, and I'm going to flip this over to what will be my wrong side today. And I'm going to add adhesive around the outside perimeter. And I'm using Stampin' CO Plus. This is my favorite one. I'll tell you, it was a little persnickety in the beginning when I was learning how to use it. But now that I got a feel for the cartridge, I love this stuff. And it's super, super strong, so you don't have to cover the entire piece of paper. This now is going to get adhered to here. And I did design this so that just had about a 1/16 of an inch margin going all the way around. And then I'll press that in place. This is my silicone craft sheet. I love, love this product. Adhesive, liquid glue, and hot glue will not stick to it, which means it's a great accompaniment here in the studio. So I can just rub off any liquid glue that gets on there. I can actually even rub off adhesive. This is going to keep my work surface sticky free. So if I get adhesive on there, I can just not have to worry about fighting that spot. Have you ever got adhesive on your work surface and then everything sticks to it while you're working? Well, the silicone craft sheet will eliminate that. All right, so now we've got this panel. Remember the gatefold? I am actually going to center this on the front, but keep in mind, we need this to open. So you're not going to want to add adhesive anywhere than other here. Now there's a couple things that you can do. You can add the adhesive here, or you can add it here. I do recommend that if you're not confident on where it needs to go ahead and center this panel, take your pencil, draw yourself a little line so you have a perimeter. But you know what? It's 2020. I'm going to live on the edge. What do you guys say? So I'm going to add some adhesive here, and I'm just going to stop before I get to the bottom, and I'm not going to go too far to the edge. There we go. And like I said, the Stampin' CO Plus is very, very strong. And now I'm looking to make sure that this is centered. And again, adhesive is only on the left-hand side. And then I'm going to press. So that's going to open up this way. Let's work on the decoration for this, and then we'll get to the inside. Now, I wanted to keep it kind of simple because obviously the whole wow to this is to be the explosion itself. But I thought it needed a little oomph because I wanted to turn this into a birthday card. So I'm going to grab some Whisper White cardstock. This is just scrap. And I've got some ink pads here that coordinate with that. So I've got Calypso Coral and I have Melon Mambo, two of my very favorite cheerful colors. I'm going to put those up here. They may just be a little bit off your camera view, but I'm going to just give myself a little bit more room here. There you go. And I'm choosing a stamp set called So Much Happy. The great thing about the stamp set is this birthday set is timeless. Who doesn't want balloons and stars on their cards, right? But the best thing about it is it's also offered as a bundle, which means you can get the coordinating happy dies. In addition to die cutting these images, there's some really other fun borders and banners and greetings that are inside of here. So this is where I've pulled the images out from. I've got one balloon that has the stars on it. I'm going to ink that up in my Calypso Coral. It's a nice juicy ink pad, and I'm going to stamp that here. I am going to clean this right off camera. I have my Stampin' Scrub there. And I'm going to switch over now to the solid balloon that's inside that stamp set. And I want this one Calypso Coral as well. And I'm going to stamp that here. I'm going to leave room between them because there's a die, which is going to make this a lot easier for me. I don't have to cut those out. And then I want one more of the solid balloons in the Melon Mambo. So I've cleaned my stamp just off camera, and I'm going to ink this up. And then I'm going to stamp this one here. Okay, so we've got some color going on. It's going to coordinate beautifully. I am going to close these for right now because I don't know about you, but an open ink pad around here is a recipe for disaster. Here are the dies. So here's the balloon die. So all I did was I lined it up and I passed it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I did that one time for each of those balloons. Goes really, really quick. Now I did do that ahead of time. In addition to that, I took the extra scrap here and I took this extra die from the dies. Do you see what this does? This creates the streamer for the balloons. So I've got one here that I did before you joined me, and that has left us with these two pieces. I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet so that you can see just a little bit better. I think that stands out a little bit better. Now, the very first thing you're probably wondering is, how are you going to get that on there? Well, there's lots of ways you can, but for me, the absolute easiest way is to use my favorite friend, glue dots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel back and reveal one of the glue dots. And I am going to take this stem and I am going to place a glue dot on the back side here. That's going to give me a place to attach this. And then I kind of navigated how high or how low I wanted it. And I just tacked that in place. Super simple, right? Okay, that's that. Again, I did most of this before you joined me. And I'm going to lay those out here on my little craft silicone sheet so that you can see the pieces, because I want to show you how I put these together. Did you notice how these are going in opposite directions? And I cut this one off. I just made this one shorter. There's really no science to this, but I want to show you what this does when you put these together. Are you ready? Watch. I am going to grab a glue dot and I am going to put it right behind here on the center right side of this one. I am going to navigate these together. Look. Do you see how this makes a bow? Oh, net lickety split. Love that. This die set actually does have a bow in it, which is here. But I thought, why bother? That just did all the work for me, right? And then I've got my other balloon here. And this is how I'm going to build this now on the base of that card. So let me push these off to the side. Let's come back to this panel here that we originally created. And let's add a little bit of a collage here. I'm going to grab my dimensionals and I'm going to lift up those little balloons. Now, I would put a little drop of liquid glue here just to keep them together, but you don't want to watch me let glue dry, right? So I'm just going to leave it like it is for right now. I've got a dimensional here and a dimensional here. When I can, I secure the dimensional over the stems of my balloons just to give them a little added security. And then I've got one more balloon. Remember this one? Let's add another dimensional at the very tippy top. I like to work from the back forward. So let's just make sure this is all going to be within the circumference of where I want it. So this one's going to go here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to put this one here, and then these will go down here. All right, so let me flip this one over and take off those paper backings. There's only two, so I'm not even going to bother with my take your pick tool at the moment. And then I'm going to navigate these so they're kind of falling around the same area. That third balloon is just for character. And then, of course, you would add your little dab of glue right there. But because you're watching me, let's go ahead and do a little card surgery. That's what I call this. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to ball up that glue dot. Super, super sticky, so I'm not even worried that it's, going to kind of break some of that down. And let's just do this the easy way, just because you're all here watching. All right, so now we've got our little bow going on. Everything's tacked down. All right, let's now finish up the outside. You can see that this has got a little bit of what I call a boing effect, right? Because remember, we're going to add the insert still. So I decided you could add a belly band to this. And just for the sake of showing you how to add that, I'm going to go ahead and do this now. I confess to you, I did not have a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock in Calypso Coral. So I thought to myself, what am I going to do? Because this is only 11. I said, we're going to improvise because you might not have it either. So I took my designer series paper and I cut it to 11 inches versus the 12. Obviously, a 12-inch piece would probably be a little bit easier, but if you don't have it on hand, here's a great cheat. I am going to adhere this to this. Now, I'm also going to tell you, it tends to work better with liquid glue because it gives just a little bit. But again, because you're with me, I don't want to watch glue dry. So we're going to add a little bit of adhesive. You're also going to notice that I'm adding the adhesive sporadically down the strip. And the reason is I know that this adhesive is very, very strong. So there's no reason for me to overindulge in it. And I want to make sure I give it a little bit of give here just for tonight. So here's the strip that's going to be the belly band. And then this now is going to get centered here. So my right and left sides are going to be flush or equal. And that's going to leave a little border here, and we're going to tack that in place. Now, here's what I do. I take my fingers, and I kind of do this. We got to get a little curvature going here. Just break down some of the cardstock just a little bit so that it'll bend a little bit easier for us. I take my card, and I'm laying it flat. And I've turned this upside down, and I'm going to kind of look. Now, you can see immediately that this might be just a hair short. I want my greeting to fall here because when I move the belly band, I want them to be able to see this entire bouquet of balloons with the cute little strings. So let's go ahead and let's work on this side. And I'm going to just gently fold this. Now, you don't want to make this too tight that you can't get it off, but you don't want it too loose either. So I'm going to press there. And then this is going to come here, and I'm going to press. Do you see how that extra inch would have helped? But that's okay because we're going to compensate for that. There's no mistakes in card making. I call it an opportunity to be creative. Before you joined me, I went ahead and I pulled out one of my favorite die sets, and this is called Stitched So Sweetly because look at all these different die sizes. Love the shapes. And I'm going to do some stamping on here with the greetings that were from that stamp set. So let's go back to these two ink colors. I know I closed them. That's because, boy, I can be messy. Anybody else? I've pulled out the word happy from that stamp set. This is the Calypso Coral. Let's see if we can get this in the center. And let's stamp that here. Well, that's like a B. We'll go with it. And I'm going to switch over to the Melon Mambo. And this is the word birthday. Now, this is one of the reasons I love the stamp set is because, look, you can build your own phrases here. So you can add the happy to any of these, which is one great thing about this. Little personalization going on. And let's stamp this one here. I'm probably way off. Yeah, I told you. This is why before you join me, I always make an extra one because I get my head in the camera. At my age, my head's got to be super duper close to the paper, it seems. So this will be the reject. This will be the one we're going to use. Okay? We're going to come back now here to the card. Remember, this is loose and it's just wrapped. This is going to hide where we need to meet these. So we can navigate this a little bit in each direction to make up for that tiny bit of shortage here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to slide this off because we've got our crease lines, and I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive here. And on this side, I'm going to do the exact same thing. See how that silicone craft sheet's going to keep my work surface nice and clean? And then what I'm going to do now is add this back around here like so, and I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to place this right over the top, right where I want it. And I think I want it a little bit more over this way, over those balloon strings, and we're going to tack that in place. Okay, so the belly band's going to come off. Before I go ahead and decorate the outside, because you know me, I've got to add some embellishments. Let's get that explosion card added. Are you ready? All right, so this will open up like this. And remember, we made this. This is the wrong side. This is going to be the right side. And boy, I have a treat for you on the inside in just a minute. You are going to center this here in the middle of the card. Keep in mind that there's a little bit of space here and here and a tiny, tiny smidgen of space here and here. You can use liquid glue because that's going to give you a little wiggle room. I'm feeling brave tonight because you're all here with me. I am going to close these to make sure that I've got it aligned right and it looks pretty good. So I'm going to hold this one down. I'm going to take my adhesive and I'm going to come here. And I'm going to come here. Remember, the Stampin' Seal Plus is really, really strong. I'm going to try to get as close to the corner because I'm not using liquid glue. So I want to make sure that's another plus that you know about with liquid glue. And then I am going to close up this hinge. Now let's go over to this side. And what I'm going to do is the same thing here. I'm going to add adhesive here and here, working as close to the corner as I can. Again, this is why liquid glue works out really, really good for you. You can get all the way to the edge. And then I'm going to close this hinge here. So this is what it looks like closed without the belly band. And then watch, ready? Oh, isn't that great? But you're probably thinking, what do we do about this? Wait until you see what I figured out for you. This is so much fun. Let me grab my piece of paper and let me teach you how to make that insert. This is all going to be on that template I created for you. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything is there for you. This is a regular piece of Whisper White cardstock. It's 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. Let's work on the grid. I am not going to cut it. I have one already ready for you because it's a matter of connecting the dots, but I want to talk you through it. And again, I'm going to use my Sharpie marker so that you can see what I'm doing. At the top and the bottom, you need to mark at 2 5/8. Remember, I told you it's right between the 1/2 and the 3/4. So that's 2 5/8. On the left and the right, it's at 1 7/8. So here, I hope you can see that. Okay, let's turn this and let's do this again. Lining this up on the grid paper makes it so easy. You don't have to worry about using a ruler and making sure that it's perfect because it is if you line it up here. So you can see now we've got dots in those 4 areas. And just like we did before, instead of scoring, you're going to cut point to point to point. And when you're finished, you're going to end up with this. All I did was I took the circumference of the center and I gauged it down just about 1/4 of an inch, which gave me this. Let's go ahead and let's add our greeting to the inside. I'm going to do that with Melon Mambo. And I chose a different stamp set for the inside of my card. This one's called Happiest of Birthdays. Love those big fun greetings. And I'm going to ink that up in the Melon Mambo ink, which coordinates nicely. This one I didn't stamp ahead of time. Wish me luck. Here we go. Not bad. All right, let's close this up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use the silicone craft sheet once again, and we're going to add adhesive to the back side. So I'm going to flip this over, grabbing my adhesive, and we're going to work around those points especially. Again, remember this adhesive is super duper strong, so you don't have to go crazy wasting all your money on adhesive. Here we are to the card. Let's make sure it's going the right way. And then this is going to fold almost flat. I know you're wondering about this, and I'm going to, oh, I guess it was really wet. Okay, so you know what? I usually send all my rejects to my mom, and I saw her on with us tonight. Hi, Mom, you might be getting this card. Let's just do this because you guys are watching me. Let's put a blank one inside. I can always stamp this later. You know what? It never fails. When people are watching you, it's way harder. And let's go ahead and put this on here. That was a brand new juicy ink pad. Can you tell? All right, but look. Voila. I almost don't want to stamp it again because it's going to be all wet. All right, but I want to show you something. This is actually independent here. It's loose. If you were to adhere this, it would not have enough give for this to open and close. All right, let's go ahead and let's finish this up. Let's add our belly band back on. So let me take this and we are going to squeeze this right on top of here. We've got our belly band. Slide that up. Remember, you don't want it too tight and you don't want it to fall off. So we've got that here. Press that in place. And then I have to have embellishments. These are the frosted and clear epoxy droplets. I decided to go ahead and use the frosted ones because I like that little bit of a white muted feel. I'm going to go ahead and use one of these medium-sized ones. Let's place that here. Well, if I had placed it on the right side. There we go. These got glue dots already on the back. Can you tell? It makes them really easy to use and it also makes them really sticky. And another one here. And then finally, let's take a third one and let's place that right down here on the belly band. All right, so we're going to open this up again. And then, of course, you've got your card on the inside. Now, I've got one more to share with you. Let me show you this other card. Completely a different type of feel to it. And this one is also a card with a little bit more sentimental look to it. Let me get out of my little bag here. Okay, this one uses the prized peony bundle. So the stamp set and the coordinating dies. Here's the belly band. Look at those gems. Isn't that gorgeous? This comes down. I don't want you to overlook stamping large images on muted designer series paper. It creates a stunning impression. And then here is the explosion on this one. Look, that greeting's flawless because you didn't want me to stamp it. So there we go. We've got another beautiful card. Absolutely exquisite. So I'm not sure which one is more your liking, but I would love to know if you'll leave me a comment. I want to turn the camera around because I want to share the next live date with you, which is going to be a special edition. And I want to share some details with you about an amazing online stamping opportunity for a retreat. I hope you enjoyed that. That sure was lots of fun for me to create, even with a few inking boo-boos. But you know what? We've got more paper. We'll just cut it. I will tell you, I have stamped for over 22 years. There isn't a mistake that you could do that I haven't already created. Trust me. The one thing that I've come to learn is the mistakes that you make, most people never even notice. We are so critical of our own work, aren't we? I know that when I receive a handmade card, I am so in awe that someone took the time to make it for me. I don't notice all the little things that I do when I make my own cards. So please keep that in mind, especially if you're a brand new paper crafter. It's the thought and the love and the time that goes into your handmade cards and your gifts. All right, so I've got something to share with you, and I'm going to start by telling you if you are tired of being home and looking for things to do, mark your calendars for January 16th. I am one of the 5 members of the amazing Creativate team. We are 5 top Stampin' Up! Demonstrators that have come together, and we work together to provide an online stamp retreat for you, our customers. And I would love for you to be my special guest on January 16th. Here's the best part: comfort of your home. You can wear your pajamas, you can wear your sweats, order in the food, tell everybody you're dialing out for the day because you want a day to be inspired. We are going to provide 10 live stamping demonstrations throughout the entire day, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So we're probably going to be going about, I would say, 11 or 12 hours. There's a small break in the middle of the day. You're going to be busy. We're going to provide all kinds of inspiration for you. We each have different projects that we are going to stamp for you. And not just what we're stamping, we're going to provide you with several alternate ideas as well. But ready? It gets even better. About 1 week after the retreat is over, we are going to send you everything and provide you everything you need so that you can keep everything at home. You'll get a PDF tutorial with a picture, cutting supplies, directions, step by step, and all the supplies that we've used so that you can recreate those projects at home or use the color coordination or those layouts for other projects. And in that tutorial, you'll have a link to the original video. Now, we hold this event on a Facebook group. But if you're not on Facebook, don't worry, I've got you covered. I will make sure that you get everything via through my website. I have a brand new website for the retreat that I'm super excited to share with you. I wanted to write it down because it stands for Lisa's Stamp Studio. So it's lssretreat.com. If you head over there right now, it's very concise and clean. You can get more details And you can register if you'd like. But here's the best part. Are you ready? The entire day is $45. I know, what a deal, right? And I would love to have you as my special guest for that day. Everybody who registers is automatically included in what we call Prize Patrol for free product. And you're going to have a whole network of other paper crafters that are going to be sharing with you and chatting with you throughout the day. Doesn't matter we're in COVID, you can do this from virtually anywhere in your home or at a friend's home, or even if you're traveling to maybe your mom or dad's or a family member's house after the holidays and deciding to stay there. I would love to have you join me. So head over to lssretreat.com, standing for Lisa's Stamp Studio Retreat.com for those details and to register. The last day you can register with me is January 13th. And you know what? Christmas is coming. This is a fantastic gift for a crafting buddy or even for yourself, or maybe you have a significant other who doesn't know quite what to buy for you and isn't comfortable going out to shop. This can all be done virtually right on my website, lssretreat.com. Please mark your calendars. I am coming back live with you for a very special edition. It's going to be Monday, December 28th. I'm looking at my calendar. So it'll be right after Christmas. We are going to kick off and get 2020 out of here with a great sneak peek preview at some amazing mini catalog products. I'm going to give you a close-up look at ribbons and embellishments and designer series paper like you have never seen before. I'm going to talk you through some of the great new things that are coming your way starting on January 5th. It's the perfect night to be home when it's cold. Grab your cocoa and your cozy blanket and your charge device to join with me. Head over to lisastampstudio.com. I'm pulling them out where you can request all the brand new catalogs that are coming your way in early January. While you're there, sign up for my free weekly e-newsletter so you're in the know about everything and that free tutorial that I send you every week on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Megan, thanks for all your hard work. I look forward to seeing you on December 28th. From the Curcio house and the staff at Lisa Stamp Studio, we wish you all the happiest, healthiest, and safe Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone.